And now I'm live before you yell that. Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to the live, everyone. The live where we talk about the latest news, of which there is never any dearth of it. So, but before we get to the news of the weekend, what is today? Today's Sunday, right? Today is Easter Sunday for the Orthodox Christians. And before we get to actually the news, I want to talk about Orthodox Easter because we spent the entire weekend in the Old City, weekend being Friday, Saturday. And boy, I can tell you, being in the Old City, you have to have like special legs for that place because everything is stone and you're standing on stone, sitting on stone. Everything is just hard and difficult. And that is that's like our whole weekend. Like we came back like in a catatonic state, not to mention all of the walking, all of the standing that was associated with the Easter weekend. And I am preparing a video. I was just in the midst of trying to edit it right now, and if I don't edit it, if I don't cut things out and make it shorter, it would actually be like almost 1 hour long. And it's just like following our journey from church to church in the Old City on Good Friday and then on the Holy Fire Saturday, which was unbelievable. But unbelievable for a few reasons. But by the way, I just want to interrupt and say hi to Carol and John. Thank you for joining. Now, you guys, especially knowing the story of the Holy Fire and having learned it also, through the journey of living here, moving to Jerusalem, I'll tell you what, the Orthodox celebration of Easter here in Jerusalem is nothing similar at all to what happens in the West. The celebration is raucous. It's loud. It is crowded. It's full of a lot of chanting, like Gregorian type chanting services, a lot of incense, a lot of pomp, and a lot of loud rejoicing, a lot of parades and bagpipes, and it is quite fascinating. So we got to experience it again yesterday. Now, Holy Fire happens in the Holy Sepulchre Church every year. The Holy Sepulchre is the church where it believed to be built on the place where Jesus died and was buried. And so the tomb, there's a chapel now around the tomb. And so this is where Easter, of course, would happen, because this is the place. So the church is 4th century. It's huge stone walls. It's also wrought with division of the different denominations that lay claim to areas of the church. So the services have to be carefully timed, like the Catholics will be at this time and the Greek Orthodox and then the Armenians and then the Syriac church and then the Coptics, and they all have different corners and different chapels. It's like this cornucopia you walk through and you keep finding like more places inside. So Holy Fire is a ceremony that's been going on for thousands of years, or is it 1,200 years or something like that? 1,200 years.
You can always, refer people to.
We can refer you to a video that we made 3 years ago about the Holy Fire, where we have scenes from inside the church and a little bit of the historical explanation. And it's become a tradition now where pilgrims from all over the world will come specifically to Jerusalem for this day. and go to the church. But because it's also so popular, it has also become a security issue or nightmare, I don't know what, where the Israeli police control it like a security situation as opposed to a religious ceremony. And there are checkpoints set up around the city, around the old city, for people who want to get into the church. And so getting into the church becomes really difficult, to, just you have to have some kind of permission, whether it's a wristband or a ticket or whatever. In the last couple of years, it's been wristbands that you show in order to pass each checkpoint to get into the church. And then, so that's how it is now. It's very political. It's very charged. You've got the police everywhere, controlling things, and then, people getting upset with them, and sometimes fights break out. Then sometimes fights also break out between the denominations, whether, they feel like you're infringing on my territory or vice versa. But the religious ceremony itself comes from the belief that the flame that a flame leaps from the tomb of Jesus, which is like the representing the spirit of Jesus himself in this tomb. And there are two priests in there, traditionally the Greek Orthodox patriarch and the an Armenian priest, and the two of them are in there, and they catch the flame on their candle from the tomb, from the tomb. Yeah, they're in the tomb, and the flame just emerges, and they catch it on a candle, and they pass it through a hole in the side of the tomb, and it goes out then to somebody who's standing there, and it's passed to different people who run it. They run with these huge candles. It's like these bundled candles. They run with it to the different patriarchs of the churches, to wherever they're sitting, and then they light it. And then meanwhile, the others will also, like everybody else, all of the congregants who are standing there are all holding a candle. So within seconds, the whole church just lights up, and it's like nothing you have ever seen before. And at the same time, the bells go, like they are just ringing the bells, and it's a very methodical, specific sound for the bells. And it's also, I just found out today, a family that has been doing this for generations that will pass this along. It's an Armenian family, and the bell is in the Armenian section of the church. I never knew that till this year. But this year, and by the way, let me interrupt myself again to say hi to Tammy, who popped in from Fort Worth. Thank you. And Kim, who's joining on a river cruise somewhere between the Netherlands and Belgium. That's awesome. That's really cool. And Tony, by the way, is pasting in the comments, whether you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, he's posted the link to the Holy Fire video, the one that's like educational from a couple of years ago. I'm going to make one this year as well, which is going to be even better because the star is our son Daniel, who very unintentionally on our part and his ended up at the Holy Fire ceremony. I mean, not a place to bring your kids, although most people, actually the local Christians, would definitely bring their kids. Although in the few times I've been there, it's been so packed, and the fighting and the shoving, and just the fact that once you get into the church, you can't leave. There's no bathrooms. There's no, you've got no food or water for hours unless you brought it with you. And then you've got no internet, and no cell phone service. I mean, I was walking around the church, like trying to send a video, and I'm like holding it up. I couldn't find one spot, because also once you get into your spot, you can't really give it up because usually it's so crowded. Now, sadly, this year, although for us, not bad, no pilgrims from overseas, because of course the skies of Israel have been shut for 40 days. And so there's nobody here. There's no tourists. There's no, nobody could be here, unfortunately, for this. So we decided, since we did get wristbands, and we're like, hey, let's go, let's march with the procession. Because what happens is each church has a procession of scouts and clergy and the people who are going to the church who got wristbands and want to go to the Holy Sepulchre. So from each of the individual churches around the old city, they all converge in the Holy Sepulchre. And we're like, well, let's just see how far as we can get. Maximum we get to the church. If Daniel's spooked or doesn't like it or we're bored, we'll go get hummus, like the hummus guy's right over there. Now we can get around the city because we have our wristbands. This is not the wristband, but so we did that, and I'm telling you, we met some really interesting people there. We met Armenians who live in Haifa who came down for this, and they're like, we wouldn't have come during a regular year, but this is, we knew it would be like easier access this year. So we came, we had a place to sit the whole time. We were up and on the third floor in one of the chapels, one of the, in the Armenian section. I've never seen it before. So when you see video of that, it's like breathtaking. Like I've never been up there. And we actually were able to get a view of what was happening. So by the way, Tony, I was thinking the Armenian side is the perfect side to be on because that's where the flame comes out.
Yeah, the area.
But by the way, Tammy said she saw Daniel.
Oh,
you saw Daniel. What, on one of my videos or somewhere else? That would be really cool. That's really cool. Or maybe you saw it in the video I uploaded this afternoon. Finally, I got that little video out there. And then once I got that, I was like, oh, but I had this better and this, whatever. Oh, anyway, yeah, it's so amazing how it just lights up so fast. And the other amazing thing is that nobody's hair, as far as I know, went up in flames and nobody got burned, as far as I know. And Tony said he heard today that there is a miracle associated with the holy fire, that for the first 33 minutes, you can't actually get burned by it. Do you guys know why the number 33? Do you know, Tony? Well, there's a lag in the video to the comments. So that's why I want to give you ample time, to get the right answer. But Tammy saw Daniel in our video and she said Daniel was really enjoying it. Yeah. And we, I think a normal year would have been difficult, if not ridiculous, to bring him because it would be too crowded. But this year, because we played it by ear and we're like, it's calm and we have space and it's not too loud where we are, and it was okay. So it totally worked out. Yes, Tammy, because Jesus was 33 years old when he died and resurrected. So yes, so that's what they say. Now, is that true? I don't know. I mean, is any of this true? Does a flame really leap from the tomb of Jesus on Holy Saturday every year at 2 p.m.? Really? Does that really? That's a miracle. Anyway, so yeah.
Put the comments of people.
I totally forgot. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Look at this. I forgot I could put comments on the screen. This is why Tony's here. Yes. And thank you, Walter. Walter is also here now. And Carol, the age of Jesus when he died. Yes, this is awesome. So thank you all and look, now I'm going to put Kim's back up here because this is from way back before I was talking about this. So anyway, guys, it was unbelievable to be there again when we haven't been in so many years, and just to be able to enjoy it and not have to feel like you have to fight for your life and stand on guard and whatever. So anyway, so that was really good. And then also I want to tell you about another thing. This is forget the news. All the news is out the window because another thing that I participated in just today. Like, and I was like looking at this is the first time I really had like a proper schedule that I could follow along. So we went to some of the Good Friday events at the Armenian Church, St. James, and then we went to the Holy Sepulchre, and there were a few things going on. I think I caught the Syriac Church, and then I also caught a little bit, I think, of the Coptics, and then that was it for that, and then Holy Fire, which was enough for one day because that was like 6 hours, and then today I saw that the Armenians on Easter Sunday, they do a liturgy in the morning, but then they have an event at a prayer service. They had one this afternoon where they pray for the four corners of the earth. So they actually face each direction, north, south, east, west, and they pray and bless. And apparently there's different prayers that go with each direction. And I would have to read more about it to tell you about it. And also, I didn't quite understand I don't understand Armenian, and so I don't really know what they were praying. But anyway, I read about it beforehand, and I have I'm gonna try to learn more about it, write about it. But I have some videos. I'll put that in the long video as well. Raya, they can all see you in the reflection. That's really funny.
Remember when I said the word's not going to end?
Okay. So Penny says, and I'm sorry if you guys are going fast now with the comments. Let me see. Penny says, you said you were in the Armenian area, but I recall the Armenian part of the Holy Sepulchre is in the lower level. By the way, so Penny, I learned something new yesterday. You can actually go up quite a few flights on the Armenian side. There's a mezzanine level, let's say, and then another level up, and that's where I was. I mean, there was I ventured between the two. Like when the light came out, that was like the mezzanine level. I was like on the stairs, like peering through. But then we spent most of our time even up from there, where there's a whole different area I've never seen, including a chapel, an altar, and these gorgeous mosaics on the floor. Amazing. So from there, we were like over the edicule. But when I went down on the stairs, I was able to go through and I right at the level, not quite the level, but where the hole is, where they pass the the flame through. So that was really awesome. So next time you go to the Holy Sepulchre, see if you can go up the stairs. I don't know if it's always open, but it was definitely open yesterday. I'm not sure if it's always open in the Armenian side. And Bea from Poland. Now, that's awesome. I don't think anybody's ever tuned in and said they were watching from Poland. That's so cool. Thank you so much. So, okay, so all of these wonderful religious events were happening. Now, of course, to segue right into the news, do you realize that these are the only religious events that were able to have been celebrated since Purim and Ramadan? So we're talking 4 holidays: Purim for the Jews, Ramadan for the Muslims, Passover for the Jews, and Easter for the Catholics and Protestants, all of them under lockdown. No Muslim went up to the Dome of the Rock or Al-Aqsa during all of those 40 days, which included the end of Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, the days where they really want to go to Al-Aqsa. They could not. Then the Jews during Purim, not that there's any big national sort of celebration or prayer, but there were no gatherings, supposed to be no gatherings at the time. Then there was Passover, where they limited the Western Wall. They bumped it up to 50 people at a time. So 50 people at a time were allowed to go to the Western Wall to pray. But still, they actually really locked down the old city. Like, even when my son was going into the old city once to visit his grandmother, he's walking through the gate and they're like, wait, where are you? Where are you going? Give us your ID. Where do you live? Why are you coming here? Like the police were stopping people from coming in. If you didn't live in the old city, you weren't getting in. So that was a really shut down Passover, because that's one of the pilgrimage feasts for the Jews where they go up to Jerusalem. So they were not able to, for the most part. So then there was the Catholic and Protestant Easter, where the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was closed, but the cardinal, who is the Latin patriarch, was able to do a mass in the Holy Sepulchre that was televised, and he had like a few clergy there. Apparently, there's 5 friars who live permanently in the Holy Sepulchre anyway. So they just joined them. And by the way, the Holy Sepulchre is built like a bomb shelter. I mean, the walls are thick. I think when you go down, there's this one section that it's not in the Armenian section, but it's an Armenian piece of real estate that you go down like some steep flights. I'm sure that's secure.
Atlanta of Constantinople found the crosses, you mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's further
down. Yeah.
That's
probably
that's
like a bomb shelter. That's like a bunker.
That's safer
So-
than a bomb shelter.
So anyway, again, all of this was going down Friday and Saturday, and I'm frantically looking at my phone saying, okay, but they're supposed to meet in Pakistan to talk about the ceasefire. And how am I going to keep up with the news when there's no service with these stone walls and you get no reception on your phone? But as you know, there were negotiations on the ceasefire. You had the American delegation, including J.D. Vance, with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. And then you had on the Iranian side, Mohammed Ghalibaf, and the other one was, totally escapes me right now. Wow, total blank on that one right now. It wasn't Larijani. It wasn't Moshtaba. Wow, I don't remember. Anyway, like it kind of doesn't matter right now because it failed. But is anyone really shocked? I mean, raise your hand if you were shocked. Because we all knew beforehand that Iran's 10 points and the US's 10 points were totally different. We all knew that Iran had said that they wanted they will be able to do whatever they want with their uranium, and that they want to, what else did they say? Oh, the Hormuz is theirs. And I mean, they had these points that were like going to be no way, of course, that the US was going to accept. And then the US had its points as well. And so anyway, so they obviously were coming to the table with different standards. So that was not really surprising. I'm surprised they got through a few rounds. Like, I don't really know how it works, but they were able to get through a few of the first, like they said they're entering like the 3rd round of talks. And I was like, okay, but that was something like around midnight on Saturday night. So I mean, this morning. So is it this morning that the talks failed? It really is this morning. Wow, what a weekend. We're like in a time warp. I'm telling you, going to the old city, it felt like we were there for a week. We were only there for about 24 hours, Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon. But it felt like I'm like in a time warp. Meanwhile, I tried to, as quickly as possible, figure out because I was asking myself, like, how did Pakistan get here? Like, where did that come from? Like, that felt very out of left field for me, because usually the negotiators are like Turkey or Oman or Qatar. That's who were and Egypt. Like, those are usually the negotiators for Middle East complications. So Egypt, like, not even, they're like just a no-show to this entire war. I don't even think they had like shrapnel lands in Egypt. Like, even Jordan got like shrapnel, and Syria got like errant missiles, and but Oman got hit a few times, and Qatar was one of the ones that really came under attack. But Egypt, man, they didn't show up at all for this war in any way. They were just like quiet in the corner, right? So Pakistan comes out of nowhere, as far as I'm concerned, and I was looking at it now. It's so a few interesting points that Pakistan has a 900-kilometer border with Iran, and that's like 500 miles. So security on their border is a concern. So that's one of the concerns. Now, also, they have, I think, just a 20% Shiite Muslim population. So some people are speculating, oh, they wouldn't want Iranians fleeing the regime and, Shiites going there and possibly creating more internal division over there. That was another thing. And all right. Now, Saudi Arabia is on good terms with the US and good terms with Iran. Also, by the way, on good terms with Saudi Arabia, which was another victim in this latest round. I mean, Saudi Arabia took a lot of hits. So that they have a really strong pact with them. There's three together. It's Saudi Arabia, Pakistan. I forgot the other country, but they have military agreements or something like that. And so it's like, okay, also interesting. But one of the analysts that I follow had speculated that that Pakistan is like the role model for Iran, because Pakistan's the first Muslim nation that managed to acquire a nuclear weapon. So that they kind of are looked up to by Iran. They hopefully I'm sure Iran wants their secrets. How did you do it? Tell us how you did it. We also want to do this. So that was pretty interesting. And they also have very big trade agreements, something like $10 billion in trade, and in various fields, technology, science, etc. So that was also really interesting. So I was like, all right, so now I understand the rationale behind Pakistan. All right, so now that already is old news, of course, because now you've got President Trump later after this, not saying I can't believe I'm here talking about the church. And actually, the funny thing is, all day we were talking about here, oh, are we going back to war? This is what everybody's asking. Does that mean the kids go back to school tomorrow? Are they really going back to school tomorrow? Till when? So anyway, people are actually wondering right now if we are looking at a renewal of fighting. Now, what do you call it? Israel has said it is ready to renew fighting. This is what Israel is pretty sure about. They're ready to do it. If I guess, I don't know if they're waiting for Trump. Trump didn't say anything except, we're going to blockade the Strait of Hormuz. And that's that. And now we get to see how that plays out. So we'll see how that plays out. Meanwhile, before Trump said that, here's some other stuff. I'm referring to my notes. My notes were only kept on the phone today, not my computer. Okay. So Saudi Arabia and the UAE are opposed to transporting oil through the Strait of Hormuz as long as it's under Iranian control. So it's an unofficial boycott, which will I want to show this one now, which will cause likely a increase in global oil prices and will put strong pressure on others to intervene, according to Gulf officials. So that is very interesting. Let's see. What else? Now, the Iranian Foreign Ministry also put out a statement that they agreed with the U.S. on several issues, but there were 2 to 3 important issues where they had differences of opinion, and that's why the talks did not lead to a conclusion. So Actually, somebody was saying the round of negotiations was actually the longest in the past year, and it lasted a total of 24, 25 hours. It's pretty good. They say diplomacy never ends. It's a tool for safeguarding national interests. So now they've added new issues such as the Strait of Hormuz, and each issue has its own complexity. So anyway, so these are some of the things that the Iranian government is saying. Now, here's the Iranian Shura Council saying before the negotiations, this is Kalibaf. Before the negotiations, I emphasized that we have good intentions and a strong will, but in light of the experiences of the previous two wars, we do not trust the other side. My colleagues in the Iranian delegation proposed visionary initiatives, but in the end, the other side failed to gain the trust of the Iranian delegation in this round of negotiations. America has understood our logic and principles, and now it is time to decide whether it can gain our trust or not. So let me keep going. Turkey said something. He said something, and then Netanyahu said something back. Forget that. Okay, activation of. I was telling you about how Saudi Arabia and Pakistan have pretty good ties, and I think they have like mutual commitments to each other, like in case of war. So it says the Saudi Ministry of Defense announced the arrival of 13,000 Pakistani soldiers to the kingdom, accompanied by fighter jets as part of the activation of the Joint Strategic Defense Agreement between the two countries. That is extremely interesting. All right, let me see what else I have. These are things I read earlier that were worth saving. I thought. Let's see. So, Chief of Staff instructs the IDF to be ready. By the way, speaking of this is just speaking of readiness to go back to any war with the Islamic Republic. They have not stopped with Lebanon. Like Lebanon, the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah hasn't stopped for a moment. So just so you know about that. I don't know if I covered this at all, but this is news from last week that the Supreme Leader, Moshtaba Khamenei, is probably disfigured and in really bad condition. So he's alive, but apparently this is like the latest intelligence reports is that he is alive, but that he is not running the government. So this assessment that I read was that if he's not running the government, then if like others who are not actually leaders are running the government, then it's a war management government as opposed to governing with the future or with the vision for the future in mind. So that is very interesting. He also points out that the Americans are treating the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, like a regular army, which has structure, hierarchy, and command. And he says, but here you're dealing with a mafia or a cartel, not an actual army. And with this cartel, there are several power families, several sources of power, and not one specific leadership. There's also several sources of money, power, and influence, and each of these make their own decisions. So very interesting. Anyway, this is stuff that I find interesting, but we have to follow. We have to see how it plays out. He also notes that there's a deep moral collapse among the Revolutionary Guards, and some see no point in continuing the war. That would be extremely interesting if that plays itself out. We'll see. Okay. Okay. He basically says, if you think you're on your way to rest and relaxation, go back and read this again because you're not. So anyway, yes, positive outlook here on what's going to happen. Meanwhile, as we see more sirens for the people in the north and lots going on in Lebanon. I'm not so updated on the situation. I know that last week I reported on the Israeli strike, which happened right after the ceasefire, but in Lebanon, and there were at least 300 people killed, and we still don't know the breakdown between how many were Hezbollah operatives and how many were civilians. But people are extremely upset, calling it a massacre, and the hospitals were overwhelmed. I think it's well over 2,000 people killed in Lebanon since the start of the war. Again, I don't know if there's a breakdown of military combatants versus civilians. In that case, I think the number in Iran is also 2,000, and again, don't know the breakdown. So the numbers are hard for me to get from these other countries. Israel released numbers, so I reported those, but from the other countries, I don't have. I think the UAE is pretty good about releasing numbers as well, but there were not a lot of deaths there. So I'm trying to think. Okay, today's Sunday. Tuesday, there is going to be in Washington direct negotiations between Israel and Lebanon, bypassing Hezbollah, bypassing Iran. And two countries that do not have diplomatic relations will now discuss potential normalization, which basically puts Hezbollah's fate in Lebanon in jeopardy, which more or less puts Iran's hold in Lebanon in double jeopardy. So we will be watching that. I mean, don't get your hopes up on that. There's a big gap between these two countries, but they do have a mutual interest. And I think for both of them, the eradication of Hezbollah from Lebanon is high on the agenda for both Israel and for Lebanon. So that is going to be extremely interesting. All right. I think I've exhausted the news. There's, I'm sure, millions of other things to report, but that is pretty much those are the big headlines that came out of this weekend. Of course, right up there with the Holy Fire, because that was amazing. Now, next year, if there's no war and if tourists are back, we will not do the Holy Fire again. It will probably be less pleasant and it will be much harder to do, especially, with kids. But I'm so glad we had the opportunity. And in the coming days, you will hopefully see a video on that, God willing, as they say. And thank you very much, Walter. Thank you very much, John. Yep, time for family time. Actually, time for putting all the family to bed because they're going to be in shock tomorrow when they have to get up for school for the first time in 40 plus days. Actually, we all are going to be in shock when we have to do that. So it might even be worse than waking up for a siren at 3:00. No?
Stop jinxing.
I'm not jinxing. No siren. No sirens.
No
Okay.
sirens.
All right. And thank you, Tony, for posting all of this, all of these. Look at Tony. Look at Tony.
I even did a poll today.
You did a poll?
Yeah. Were you shocked?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Tony's like managing right here on the side.
You got 4 votes.
Wow. What's the verdict?
No.
100% no.
Yeah.
Nobody was shocked. Nobody was shocked. Kim, you have a good night wherever you're sailing. It's amazing. Send pictures. Very cool. And Walter, thank you very much. All right. Well, guys, we'll see what happens this week as events warrant. I will be back, and definitely Tuesday, because we're going to talk about what's happening between Israel and Lebanon. And tomorrow is a wild card, but check back and see. I got a lot of videos and photos to upload in the meantime. So, all right. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks for participating. And I will catch you next time. Have a good day or good night, wherever you are. And thank you very much. Ciao.